Greetings. This is Rosalind Parks with Engine of the Nation on National Network View. Today we'll be discussing rising food prices and speaking with Brother Michael Muhammad from MSGL Farms. Stay tuned.
The nation must acquire land. Production of food, clothing, and shelter. Freedom is independent agriculture. Farming is the engine of the nation.
Today we'll be discussing the rising food prices. With more on that is Sister Crystal X. Let's take a look.
Greetings. This is Crystal X with National Network View.
Last year, food inflation rose 14% among South America's largest economy. It was the biggest increase in nearly 20 years. Other developing countries recorded double-digit jumps in food inflation. The coronavirus, COVID-19 pandemic, rising staple goods, and commodity prices, along with currency depreciation, have been blamed for the spike in food prices.
Grocery store prices have been rising for months.
In the last few months, have you noticed a change in grocery prices?
Immensely. They've risen quite a bit.
I definitely have to pick what we absolutely need instead of kind of what we want.
Meat and veal jumped more than 20% between March and June. Poultry and eggs up more than 7%. Fresh vegetables and cereal also rising more than 3%.
Meat and eggs, two things almost every family out there eats a lot of. Why are they seeing the biggest increase?
They are very that rely on workers, and as a result of the COVID-19 infections, that they had issues with keeping people on the line.
It's also because of supply and demand. Early on, COVID-19 shut down meat plants, causing supply constraints. People are also eating out less, which means buying more for meals at home. But it takes time and money for manufacturers to adjust the packaging to be sold to grocery stores.
The food that is distributed to restaurants are packaged differently. They're usually packaged in huge lots. There are different cuts of meat than what you and I are used to in the grocery store.
But the spiking prices means many families can't afford to get the food they need. More than 29 million Americans said they didn't have enough to eat at some point in July. Food banks across the U.S. since are overwhelmed. Nearly 2 billion meals were distributed between March and June to families in need.
There's anonymity, and there's basically the ability to just walk up, grab food, and leave.
Thank you for tuning into NNV News. This is Crystal X with nnvnews.com.
And thank you for tuning into Engine of the Nation on National Network View. Today we're talking to Brother Michael Muhammad from MSGLV Farms. How are you doing, Brother Michael?
Oh, assalamu alaikum, sis. I'm doing very well, Sister Rosalind. How are you?
Walaikum salam, sir. I am well. First, I want to ask you, how did you get your start?
Well, into the farm, the start was just simply abiding by the instructions that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan laid out for us to do, which was to go out and purchase land and to get it and to conquer it. So I did the best that I can, and I went out and found some land, 22 acres, and by Allah's permission, and purchased it back in December of 2019, just shy before COVID hit the U.S.
Okay. Now, you did say that you went and found some land. Did you have any help with that? Did you partner with anybody to purchase your land?
Well, not necessarily outside of the typical conventional ways, which would be a real estate agent and things of that nature. But I would say the greatest partner that I had outside of Allah Himself was my wife. She was she was the fuel behind the engine. She was the tire on the car. She was the steering wheel in the driver's side. She was the whole thing. I had the idea, and she allowed me the freedom to go out and do the best that I could do, which was following those instructions of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. She never intervened, and she pushed me by allowing me the freedom, by not getting too involved, but not also stepping back too much. So my greatest partner would have been my wife, Sister Aniqua Muhammad.
That is great to hear that you all
Yes, ma'am.
came together to do this. I want to
Yes.
ask you, before the instructions went out, did you
Yes.
have any interest in agriculture or farming at all?
I would say I had some interest, of course, in the science and study um, of plant life and obviously the husbandry of animals. But I'm from the city. I grew up, in the city area of New Jersey and things like that. And we didn't have anything much more than a dog here or there and a cat and maybe some gerbils and hamsters and a little iguana pet, but never never no cows and sheep and horses and chickens and things of that nature. So the desire for science has always been there for me since as far as that I can remember. But when I was 6 years old, I do remember me saying to myself that I wanted to have a farm. I just didn't see it to be something that would be in my lifetime, to be honest. It was just one of those fantasy type of situations in my mind. But Allah saw it fit that it will become a reality some years later. So I would say yes, farming and gardening would have been something that I had a desire for, but never really partook in it before up until just in December 2019. So I'm fresh.
Well, with your love of science, was there any other education that you acquired since deciding to purchase land to help in your quest for farming?
Yeah, the education that I acquired would have been extremely hands-on. I don't have the luxury to go to school. Well, during this pandemic, I'm not going back to school for those types of things and classes. I mean, I'm studying the the science of it by jumping in. Me and my wife, we just jumped into this. So the acquired knowledge is coming from trial and error, and there's been many errors made since since we started in 2019, and there's been many beneficial and beautiful trials within the experience as well. But that's where the required knowledge would have come from, would be ongoing, just
Mm.
hands-on experiencing as we go along.
Well, with your hands-on experience, what are some of the challenges that you have experienced or run into along the way?
Good question. Season change. A lot of people tend to go to the south or where it's consistent warm weather 365 days of the year to farm. And I understand that now more than I probably understood it before. Everything was grand and easier up until you know winter started coming, and now we got about a foot and a half or 2 feet of snow in my all across the 22 acres. So there is nothing else for me to do out there outside of I have to still get up every day and take the animals out and feed them, but I'm walking and treading through mountains of snow just to do it. So the trials would have been losing animals. We lost some animals, we had animals and some of them didn't make it through this cold season. Having shelter that couldn't sustain and keep heat the same way that it may have during the summer and warmer seasons. So, those emotional connections to the animals, those real life connections to the animals that were short circuited or aborted a little earlier than I would have wanted it, was trials, but they were beautiful trials because I was able to understand exactly what needs to be done next time
That's
going
right.
forward. And that's where the science and the love of the study of farming and agriculture came into real play, was having Allah bless you with something. You went out and obtained it. You was able to bring what was in your mind into reality. And then before you wanted it to happen, you lose an animal, you lose a cow, you lose a goat. And those real relationships were real, and that really made me understand what God has to endure when it comes to us.
Oh, that's a
Yes,
good
ma'am.
point. Yes. That's a hard lesson, but
Praise be to
a
Allah.
great one at the same time.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I heard you mention the snow and the cold. A lot of the U.S. received some snow over the past couple of days. Where
Yes.
is MSGLV Farms located?
We are located in northeastern Pennsylvania, near the border of New Jersey, but we are about an hour, some change away from Philadelphia, about an hour, some change away equally from New York City. So we are located in the Pocono area of Pennsylvania. So when it snows, it snows, and when it's cold, it's cold. So there's no way around it. We're near the mountains, but um you know we didn't want to have to change our life to go somewhere else when I knew that there's land up here that could be obtained, not just for our family personally, but more so for those people who are not necessarily in the nation or don't see this kind of thing as obtainable growing up in the inner cities of this area up here. So to be able to obtain it was not just for myself and my wife and my immediate family, my children. It was for those, uh, in just the average man and woman to be able to have something that they can see, the young brother, the young sister, and say, "Wow, I don't have to go to Arizona or Florida or Alabama or Mississippi and to get something that I have a passion for. I can do it right here, and
Right.
there might be a little more extra work, but I can have it for myself right here." Yes,
Right.
ma'am.
I would agree with you. It's very important for some of us to see things that we're just not used to seeing. So for you to
Yes.
have, um, made good on that dream and those instructions and set up the farm in Pennsylvania where it's freezing, I'm sure.
Yes, ma'am.
um, to maintain that is noble. So to
It's
say the
it's Yeah, it's no joke.
least.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. So, with that continued education as you're receiving now, what are some of the good things that you've learned that you didn't know prior to purchasing this land?
Wow. I have been able to, by Allah's permission, in my humble opinion, um, understand. No, let me change that. Get a glimpse into the mind of the Creator, the one that created the soil, the one that created the tree, the one that created the process by which seeds sprout down first and then shoot up for life. All of those things, the relationship that an animal has naturally for the human being, the the natural submission and love that animals have for us. I was able to get a glimpse into the mind of the Creator, because none of this land that I have right now, that me and my wife have, none of it we created. It was already here when we got here, and it'll be here after we're gone. But there was so much hidden treasures within the land, within the connection between myself and a cow, myself and a sheep, or the teamwork between my wife in obtaining the study of the land. This was something that I was able to see, that Allah, when He created everything, He did it in love, because for the tree to not the tree, but for the animal to give back to you the way it should, love has to be given to it. You can't treat the cow bad and expect for the milk to be nutrition to its full potential. You can't treat the chicken bad and expect your eggs to taste well. Those things we were able to understand and learn. And I thank God, Almighty God Allah, for that, that He allowed me just a little glimpse into His mind.
That's amazing. I would say that we liken that to the stewardship of people, your children,
Yes.
your
Yes.
relationships between, brother, sister, neighbor.
Yes.
So that was a
Yes.
wonderful lesson. Wonderful
Yes,
lesson.
ma'am.
Okay. All right. Would you speak to us about some of the foods that you grow?
Yes, we have grown cabbage and yellow squash and green beans and onions and tomatoes, different types of tomatoes. I mean, the land itself already naturally grows peaches and grapes and strawberries and blueberries and apples and plums. So there is much that we started in the first year. We had some lettuce come up for us. We had a few things that worked out well in the first year of just learning. But this year will be a better year for us, inshallah. We have a couple of hoop houses up now that will allow us to be able to grow and produce food all year long. As you can see, I'm sitting in a hydroponic tent right now, where right behind me there is some plants that are growing. We have some strawberries growing, some basil and tomatoes in this tent right behind me that are just starting to, sprout out right now. So we learned some things didn't make it, some things we didn't have a good grasp on, but that was just year one. This is year two. So inshallah, things will be much more fulfilling this year come around.
This year. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I would like to ask you more about the tank after we hear from our sponsors. So,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you for tuning into NNV News. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps us to highlight solutions for a brighter tomorrow. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
This is Sister Sajda Muhammad. We are proud to announce that the Sajda House commemorative Elijah coins are finally here. This priceless heirloom, made from recycled copper from the messenger's home, is now available at sajdahouse.com.
The hashtag Bank Black social media campaign made strides not only in revolutionizing how we bank, but also how we think. The movement inspired thousands of African Americans across the country to transfer or deposit millions of dollars into Black-owned banks. These are banks that will invest in urban communities, employ African Americans, support Black businesses, and inspire Black home ownership. This is a very proud moment for our culture as we are taking small, but significant, steps towards building Black power through Black wealth.
Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel at National Network View. I am Anissa Muhammad with nnvnews.com.
Thank you for tuning into NNV News. I am Rosalind Parks, and right now we are speaking with Brother Michael Muhammad from MSGLV Farms. Thank you for coming back with us, Brother Michael.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Before we left for the break, we were talking about, I think you said a hydroponic tank. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Tent, yes. Yes, a hydroponic tent is just, yes, ma'am. It's basically an enclosure that allows you to grow plants internally. As you can see, the reflective walls here allow light to be able to shine equally and evenly throughout, giving the plant the ability to get light and also insulation of heat within the tent. So it's something that we you've seen, may have seen kinds of tents that are not necessarily good, but you can do a lot of great good with these tents. And we just put this up probably, I would say, wow, about a month ago. So it's new, and the plants are just starting to sprout now. So inshallah, by June, we'll have a little bit more hands on this kind of system that we're trying to learn right now as we speak.
Okay. Now, with that tent, I heard you say that light is able to come through and heat is kind of kept in the tent. With the cold temperatures that we've faced over the past couple of weeks,
Yeah.
has your crop suffered any, or is everything just sprouting as you plan?
Oh, well, in the tent, this is a little bit different. Inside the tent, the tent is inside my home, so it has
Oh,
an ambient, internal temperature that is maintained. I have a heater inside of it that keeps it at a certain temperature, somewhere between 80 and 100, depending on which types of food we want to grow, whether it be something tropical like a banana or a pineapple.
mm,
We can do those types of things in a hydroponic tent. But as far as my crops and things that I started on the outside, that's a whole nother story. I don't know where my crops are even at because they're covered in snow. So, we will see what damage the snow has done to certain things come May or April. But that's why we have put certain things in place, like a hoop house. We have two of the greenhouses on the outside, and those houses allows us to be able to do gardening and planting all year round because they basically they maintain a certain temperature. There's things you can do in those greenhouses to really increase the heat and the temperature inside. But as far as certain basic vegetables and foods, you can do in a greenhouse without adding any thermal atmosphere inside as well.
okay. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, about animal husbandry, I read that there were a few types of animal husbandry. One would include fish farming, another would be beef farming.
Mm.
I know that you have a number of animals on the farm now. Are you wanting to expand to one of
Yes.
the other types?
Yes, we will be this April, or yes, I would say March or April. We should have our pond. We have a half an acre pond here that goes 26 feet deep. We have already have purchased some bass and trout. So come, yes, that's my horse Durbin. He's much bigger than that now, but that's him in the pond at the time. But yes, he we will have bass and trout, inshallah, in the pond this spring, and that will be open for the believers to come this year as they came before, and individuals who are interested in partaking in a peaceful atmosphere amongst us ourselves. Whatever you catch, you keep, but we just ask that you donate back to the farm so that we can keep those facilities stocked. But that's the idea. Yeah, so I would say fish would be a part of husbandry next that we're going to try to learn. I can only imagine it's different than having a fish tank in your house. So something that I will
Right.
learn as well.
Right. I understand that crops have to sometimes go through a cycle or two before they really start producing. Would that have to happen with the fish farming?
Sis, that's a great question. I don't know.
Okay.
You'll come to learn about me as time goes on that the way that I study and learn things is by action first,
Very
then
hands-on.
then book later. The book will come into play if I naturally can't grasp the idea or the understanding. But I like to try to grasp ideas naturally. I want to see if I can do it on my own with my own instinct, my own desire, my own passion, my own will, if that then fails after a certain amount of trial and error, then yes, I'll pick up a book, go to Google and ask for some help and really dive into study. But I can't tell you the answer to that because it is a good question. I thought about it this winter. I said, wow, my pond is frozen right now. So how do fish survive in a frozen pond? I don't know, but I can say this. When we moved here, it was winter. We didn't see any frogs. But in spring, there was thousands of them that came right out the dirt, so of the pond. So I was able to understand that those animals, those water creatures, they hibernate like bears do.
Okay.
So they go into dormant just like bears do. So I don't know about fish if they're going to die all out during the winter and how does that work, but we're going to find out. We will find out.
I look forward to hearing more about that when spring breaks. All right. Well, with people coming to the farm and, of course, keeping what they catch and learning and experiencing the animals, what have you been able to teach with your hands on experience, the community, and what do you hope to teach in the future?
My screen going in and out. I do apologize. I'm not sure if that's my.
Oh, sure. I can ask that question again. My question was just
But
that that I know that you have had um, members of the community come onto the farm, and of course, you're talking about the fish catching or catching what they keep. So I just wanted to know what plans do you have for teaching, and what have you already passed on? Oh, it looks like we might have lost Brother Michael momentarily. So what we will do now is take a quick break from our sponsors. Please stay tuned.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps to combat false media. Cash App NNV News.
This is Sister Sajida Muhammad. We are proud to announce that the Sajida House commemorative Elijah coins are finally here. As we renovate and restore the former home of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, we have recycled the old copper gutters and downspouts and created a 1 ounce 39 millimeter coin made of 100% pure copper. Each coin is professionally graded and has its own barcode and registration number. This priceless heirloom, made from recycled copper from the messenger's home, is now available at sajdahouse.com.
Worldwide, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download the Final Call Radio app and take us everywhere. On your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also log on to finalcall.com and click the Listen Live button or finalcallradio.com. Final Call Radio, the official voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam.
Thank you for tuning in to NNV News. Please share your thoughts with us in the comments section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel, National Network View. This is Clifton Muhammad with NNVnews.com.
Thank you for tuning into NNB News. I am Rosalind Parks. Before we left, we were having a little bit of trouble with our connection to Brother Michael Muhammad, but I believe we have him back. Brother Michael? All right, we may not have him back. what we will do now is just take a quick review of our discussion. We discussed the rising food prices, but we also had some discussion surrounding the crops, the hydroponic tent, not tank, and the snow that has covered our cities and states over the past couple of days. We look forward to hearing more from Brother Michael. We're going to see if we can get him in the next couple of minutes, but if not, we will take another quick break. Let's see. Brother Michael, did we get you back? All right. All right. Well, thank you for tuning into Engine of the Nation. We're going to cut short today. I appreciate everyone tuning in. Well, thank you. Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Follow us on social media. And of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel, NNV News. I am Rosalind Parks, and this has been Engine of the Nation.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps to combat false media. Cash App, NNV News.
It's a truth universally acknowledged.
That doesn't make me racist.
For equal justice.
The decline.
Greetings, this is Clifton Muhammad with National Network View.